Namaste. I'm with Arvind Kumar, who I've known for many years. We supported his work in Kapim, which was fighting the school textbook case. So welcome to the show, Arvind.
Thank you.
Today we are going to talk about his thesis, which got plagiarized by professors in Cornell University. His thesis on why there is pollution in Delhi. So Arvind, first tell us what was your thesis, and then we'll talk about where you published it and how other people plagiarized it.
My thesis is that the smoke in Delhi was due to farmers burning in Punjab. That part is known, but it's only been happening in recent years. And that is because of a law in Punjab that forced farmers to delay their planting of rice and the burning of the fields. And smoke was not reaching Delhi all these years. But now they do it in November when the monsoon winds no longer exist and the wind direction is the other way. And this is what was plagiarized by the professor in Cornell University.
So how could he plagiarize what was in your head unless you had published it?
Right. So I had published this in 2017 in Sunday Guardian, the newspaper in Delhi, and a follow-up article in 2018 as well, where I said it's not 2009, but 2007 and 8 as well. I gave the reasons for this happening in 2007 and 8, and 2009 the law was passed. But they plagiarized it. They still stuck with the erroneous date of 2009.
Okay.
The professor in Cornell University and his partners.
And what is the name of these professors?
So the name of the professor in Cornell University is Andrew McDonald.
Okay.
There is a person by name Balwinder Singh who is in International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center. And there are two other names who are the co-authors, but they are not the main authors of this. They are also part of the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center.
Okay. So you published in the Sunday Guardian, and they plagiarized. And where did they publish?
So they published it in Nature Sustainability. And Nature, as you know, is one of the top journals in the world of science. At least it's a top ranked journal. So we have an Ivy League professor who has actually published it in a top scientific journal, and it's plagiarized from a newspaper in New Delhi.
How did you find out that they've plagiarized, and what did you do about it to raise the issue?
How I found out is interesting because there was another person who plagiarized the same story, which is Shekhar Gupta in India. And Shekhar Gupta is a well-known journalist, and that came to my attention, and I was searching for his plagiarism. He had actually credited his own magazine writer for making this discovery. And while searching for Shekhar Gupta's plagiarism, I found that the Cornell University plagiarism shows up in their research.
Which happened first? Shekhar Gupta plagiarized first and then Cornell got it from him, or Cornell plagiarized first and Shekhar Gupta got from them, or they plagiarized independently? What was the chronology?
My belief is they plagiarized independently. Cornell University plagiarized it first, and Shekhar Gupta also plagiarized it from me, because if you look at the article in the print, it has the same links as what I had given as my background. So it does appear like it's independent plagiarism.
So two independent parties, one Shekhar Gupta, a well-known person in India, and then a team of professors in Cornell, in a very prestigious journal, separately, independently of each other, they plagiarized from you.
Right.
What happened when you discovered they've plagiarized? Did you complain, and what happened?
Well, I contacted the Professor Andrew McDonald, who was listed as the author for communication on the paper. I just emailed him.
Okay.
And he flatly denied it.
Okay.
He said, this is the first time I'm ever hearing of your article, and it's all an independent discovery. So when my article in Sunday Guardian appeared, I saw that a scientist from NASA, an aerosol scientist named Dr. Hiren Jetwa, he tweeted my article saying, now I understand why NASA senses more fires in November since 2009. So I contacted the scientist, and I learned that he on second thoughts said that no, he's been seeing this from 2006 to 2009 time frame as well. So I investigated it, and I found the reason for 2007 and 8 as well. The law had been implemented de facto implementation even before it had been passed in the legislature. And I published a second article on it, on this topic. So I'd been in touch with this NASA scientist ever since. So when the plagiarism was discovered, I went back to the NASA scientist
Okay.
and I asked him if he's been popularizing my article because the academia has been picking it up.
Right.
And he said, yes, he's actually been a reviewer of a paper that's been published in Nature Sustainability. And he had sent them my article in an official capacity as an official reviewer for the article.
Okay.
So it turned out that Professor MacDonald of Cornell University was lying to me when he said that he had never heard of my article.
So MacDonald had written his article already, and the NASA scientist was reviewing it,
Right.
and the NASA scientist sent him a link to your article.
That is correct, but the NASA scientist sent him the link to my second article, which incorporated the first article. My article appeared 1.5 years before he had written the article and sent it for review. So my article appeared in December 2017,
Yes.
while their article was published finally in July 2019. So it's late 2018. It's at least 1 year after I wrote that they had submitted their article. So there was an obligation on their part to cite my article, but they did acknowledge it to the reviewer. They did acknowledge to the reviewer saying that our article is consistent with the major findings of the Sunday Guardian article.
It could be that they had independent discovery, but they should have referred your article also because they found out about it.
That is not possible, because if it was an independent discovery, they would not have stuck with the 2009 date on it. Like the NASA scientist, the data would have told them it also happened in 2007 and 8. And like I wrote my second article saying that, no, it's not just 2009, it's also 2007 and 8. They would have done the same thing. So their method was not a scientific method. So one of the hallmarks of plagiarism is that they carry forward their errors. And that's what has happened here. Their paper still says 2009.
Okay.
This is not their finding because the data says 2007 and 8.
So when you found all this out and you unraveled that they had actually taken your article as the basis and developed their own, the right thing would have been they should have given a reference to your article. It would actually make their work stronger. It would not take anything away. They would acknowledge prior work and then they're building on top of it. But they didn't do that. So instead, they denied that they have any knowledge of your article, correct?
Right. And it would have ended the matter right there.
Right.
Had they done that, it would have ended the matter.
So what is the position of the NASA scientist in this issue of plagiarism?
Right. He is an honest person, so he's not taking sides, and I don't want to drag him into this controversy, but he has actually been helpful in letting me know that the peer review process actually, he was part of the peer review process, and he notified them of my article. And he actually recommended that they refine their work to 2007 and 8 as well, but they did not understand that's what he was suggesting. So the problem is they continued with their error. But he's an honest person and I don't want him to get dragged in, but I have used his input to complain to Cornell University. There's a formal investigation going on in Cornell University right now.
And that investigation has been going on for how long?
It has been going on for more than a month now.
Okay.
I would say a month and a half.
And who's doing what to do the investigation?
Yeah, see, the investigation itself, the process seems to be very difficult for me. They made it extremely tough for me to find out how to complain. I had to go to the provost's office, and then they sent me to the office of counsel, who in turn sent me to the president's office, and back and forth. There were multiple rounds of this, each sending me to the other. And eventually, after I made some noise about it, they have appointed an investigator by name Mark Hurwitz. He sent me a bunch of questions to investigate this process, and I've answered those questions, but the tone of the questions seemed to me like he was trying to accuse me of plagiarism. And the other question he had for me is, why have I not pursued with the pursued action against the Indian author, Balwinder Singh, and instead I'm going after the Cornell scientist. And the reason is he is given as the point of communication.
So this is something that will take its time and something will come out, and then you let me know, we'll do an update when the result of the inquiry. Now the second part of the plagiarism is Shekhar Gupta.
Right.
Tell us about that. Where does that stand?
I have not complained at all. I've looked at the Press Council of India rules. So it's much clearer here. In India, it's not just the exact words. Even plagiarism of ideas is plagiarism, according to the Press Council of India.
Okay.
But you're supposed to first resolve it with the person who plagiarized independently before you can pursue action.
Yes, yes.
So I have not done anything about that.
And what's your reason for not doing anything about that?
I have not found a contact address for Shekhar Gupta, and it's just 1 month. I was busy with the Cornell issue. So I will do it. I will follow up. I will at least lodge a formal complaint with the Press Council of India.
Okay.
But I want to go through the process of actually attempting to contact Shekhar Gupta and then letting him do his part of acknowledging.
But he's a well-known public figure.
Right.
I mean, he has a social media account and all that. You could certainly communicate with him.
I will. It's just been a month.
It's better to give the other person a chance privately to sort it out. It's always better.
Right. That is correct.
And it could also be that he didn't know about your article, but he read the Cornell thing.
I don't think he read the Cornell thing. I think it's got to do with, because he credited it to his own magazine, and his magazine's version actually matches my article and not the Cornell version. Where the Cornell version at least pretends to look at the data and come up with their own conclusions, but his version actually uses the same links that I had presented in my article in Sunday Guardian.
So he's done no value added. Cornell has at least added some data to reach the same conclusion. They've at least got some independent part of their work, although the core idea is yours.
Right. So they should have called it as validating my work, or that is how they should have called it. They should have called it validating my work, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, I think so. That would have been ethical. And but in Shekhar Gupta's case, he hasn't even done any independent validation. He's just repeated the same thing that you wrote.
That is correct.
So I think we have an interesting story. It's an interesting story because I've known Arvind for a long time. He's a hardworking guy. He doesn't give up easily. He's used to fighting against big powers, and he's not intimidated or scared. He sticks to the pursuit of truth and wants to expose whenever there is injustice. I admire that, and that is why I decided when I came across this, when he wrote to me, I came across this, and I decided that it's worth bringing this to the attention of the public, that here is a case of plagiarism that needs to be acknowledged and needs to be set right.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Arvind. Wonderful always to talk to you, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
And do keep us updated.
I will do that.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.